Yeah, but since I have you here, right, we're talking about Beezie, we're talking about TCG.
Easy, right?
I gotta ask you this first.
Okay.
Kabuto King. What? Oh, Kabuto King, Kabuto King. What is going on with that? Like, it was. I saw it in my timeline. I saw every TCG project because I have a decent amount of friends that are doing TCG
Yeah.
projects and stuff like that. And then yeah, Kabuto King. I'm like, what is going on here?
I think it's brilliant. It ignited a really interesting conversation. I don't know if you know Dachshund Wizard on our team.
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
Of course,
so
yeah.
he did a live stream on Thursday night and the Kabuto King joined. And he actually put hot sauce on one and ate it. This is like his thing. But I think it's just a really funny narrative on the timeline, and I'm really interested to see where it goes.
Yeah, like what? Like, how did he even start? Like, this guy trying to collect like Kabuto cards?
You should have him on the pod.
I
See
should. I don't know if he's doxed or not.
He's not doxed, so you can put a Kabuto like right in front of his face. I think that should be the next goal guest.
Yeah,
Make it happen.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, because right, it was pretty much he got popular because he said he's gonna collect every Kabuto
Yeah.
Pokemon first edition card
Yeah.
ever known to man. I don't know if he
Yes.
did it or not.
Not
but
yet, but it's moving in the right direction and prices are going up.
Yeah, it's crazy, and yeah, it's crazy trend there. And this one thing that's really interesting about like TCG and crypto. I interviewed a few people about building TCG products in the Web 2, Web 3 sense, right?
Yeah.
But why is it so like close together, like knit, like the TCG side of things and crypto and stuff like
I
that?
think there's just a commonality around collecting and people in Web3 really seem to love TCG Pokemon specifically. One Piece has its moments. We see it, like come and then fade a little bit and come back. This generation sort of grew up with Pokemon, right? The demographic that we see in Web3, it aligns really nicely. And then you add in the different gamification layers that are fueling speculation and give you dopamine hits. And
Right.
it's like a match made in heaven.
Yeah. I feel like why is it Pokemon is such a big thing for crypto people? Is it just
I mean,
like,
Pokemon's one of the most beloved IPs in the world, right?
Yeah.
And again, it's sort of this demographic and this generation that grew up with it that is right here in Web3, pushing boundaries, showing up every single day. And I think it's just a beautiful marriage. It just works.
Yeah. What do like Web 2 TCG people think about like crypto?
Oh my God.
Do they hate it? Do they like
That's
it?
such a loaded question.
Is
It
it?
depends who you're talking to, right?
Okay.
Some people get it and they just haven't been exposed, or they've been exposed in the wrong way and they have a bad taste in their mouth. And then, you're trying to help them understand the benefits. Obviously, we're a baby space, right? We're very, very early in our evolution as, a crypto-based product, blockchain-based product. But there's work to be done because there's been a lot of bad actors and bad seeds, right? We know it. You know it. I know it. We've kind of been here for all of it.
I don't even want to open CT. Like there's another. I don't know if you've been following. There's another drama about something. I'm just like, oh man.
I know it can be exhausting. Definitely, there are days where I get on crypto Twitter and I'm just like, oh, I'm tired, bro. I'm tired. But then it's also so exciting to be in the earliest stages of of technology, right? That fundamentally, I truly believe is going to change how we, have our day-to-day lives in so many different aspects.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like crypto has a narrative problem, less of the like. I don't know. What do you think about that? But I really feel like it's just the narrative problem. It's not like the tech is not there, or even sometimes the use case is there, but it's just like people just don't want to touch it because they've heard the stories, like you mentioned.
Yeah, I think it's evolved and changed, right? Like from the last cycle or even the cycle before that. I think Bitcoin, the narrative has changed tremendously, and obviously with a new administration that's very pro crypto in the US, that has helped for the most part. It's about education. Obviously, onboarding tools right now are way easier. You look at everything Coinbase is doing and that Base is doing. I think it's really bringing more mainstream adoption. It's just going to take time, and then to generalize the narrative, I find it difficult because I do feel like there are pockets of really positive momentum. But yeah, when you look at like crypto Twitter in general, on any given day, it can be challenging.
Yes.
And the narrative can definitely be, somewhat negative.
Yeah. Luckily, majority of the normies Web2 people are not on crypto Twitter.
Yeah,
Usually.
exactly. I know all of my circle, my friends, no one really. And some people, but it's rare.
It's funny because a lot of people are like, oh, like I want to watch your podcast and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, it's like, oh, it's on Instagram. I'm like, oh, it's on X. And they're like, wait, what's X?
Wait, what?
Oh, Twitter.
Yeah, I get that
like,
too.
Why are you on X?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, crypto people. We tend to be on
That's
X
where we live.
and stuff like that. How do you describe Beezie to like your friends, like and stuff like that? Like,
it's actually so easy, and I say this to people all the time. I can describe it to my parents, I can describe it to my kids, I can describe it to my friends, and everyone gets it. I think it's one of those platforms that truly can onboard a non-crypto native user, and they get it off the bat. So I say, we're a platform for collectibles, for real assets, and you can take that conversation further and start to talk about, future assets that would come in like art or precious metals, jewelry, these types of things. And, you talk about the risks of self-storage. Obviously, there's natural disasters happening all the time, and we consistently hear about the loss of collectibles, which is crushing. But self-storage is a real concern and risk. And so we talk about creating this digital twin for those assets, having those assets safely secured and insured at Brinks, which is our vault provider. It took a long time to get that contract with Brinks. We've been working with them for almost 2 years now, and I'm really proud of that.
What is Brinks?
Brinks is our vault provider. So Brinks is a global brand that's really well known and recognized. It's those big armored trucks that you see.
Oh, yeah.
So,
they have a digital side of it.
They have, we are the digital side, right? Like the partnerships are the digital side, but Brinks is known for, having the best vaults and secure storage in the world. It's a massive Web2 brand. And we knew coming into this space and coming in as a collectibles platform that's on chain, like you said, with Web2, there would already be a certain idea around or potential blocker who we were. So we thought if we're asking people to let us tokenize and hold some of their most, precious assets, we need to do it with a brand that they know, where there's inherent trust. And so that was Brinks. And that's why that partnership was really crucial to get in line before we ever considered going live or even building out the product. So we did that. And now we have our first vault location, which is in New York. We're going to be opening other vault locations, likely Dubai will be number 2.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And then Asia, we're really proud again. And, it's going back to your original question to make a long story not short at all. When I tell people we have the vault, we secure your assets, we store them for you, we insure them so you don't take that risk or overhead. And then we create its digital twin, its digital certificate of authenticity, if you will. And that is what you trade. They just get it. They're like, oh, so if I have X, Y, or Z and you're holding it and I have that digital receipt, then I just sell that on your marketplace. Exactly. And you never have to worry about the logistics, the back end, the shipping, the storage. We handle all of the, the pieces that make resale cumbersome and kind of painful.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you ever talk about the crypto side of things or no, you avoid that?
Yeah, no, sometimes if it comes up, I don't think that, especially when I'm talking with someone in Web 2, I don't lead with that, but it eventually gets there. And we start talking about, the benefits of being on chain, transparency, how much easier it is to transact, the liquidity in this space. If I'm based in the US and I have a buyer in Tokyo, I don't have to worry about, global borders. It just, it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I feel like when it comes to consumer products, like what you guys are doing, right? Especially in Web3, I never try to use crypto language or it's like, oh, it's on the, like what you guys, Flow blockchain or this blockchain. Exactly. Because if I say that, it's over.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I feel like in Web3, people lead with that. Like, oh, we're on Base or we're on Flow or we're on ETH or something, right? And it's like, even though like, I think it goes back to the narrative, it's like, I feel like, at least in our industry, we feel like, oh, the blockchain is what sells and stuff like that.
Totally. And I think it's knowing who your audience is, right? If I'm on stage at a crypto event or if I'm doing a crypto-based podcast, or if I'm on X, of course I'm going to start with, here's the chain we're on, here's, all the benefits, so on and so forth. If I am having a conversation with someone that at that point in time has no interest in crypto, or not a really good foundational starting point for the conversation, then it's not what I lead with, because they don't care what chain we're on. They just want to be able to use the product Ethereum? And it to be easy. Right, exactly.
It's like, yo, we're on Sol, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think this is where I'm kind of bullish on what you guys are doing, and just also like consumer products. Because actually what got me into crypto was NBA Top Shot.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, like collectibles. I was a huge basketball fan, right? And at that time, it was during the pandemic. And I think there was like, in 21 where cards TCG, I guess was the last previous craze.
Yeah.
Where people were like, yo, we're collecting physical cards and stuff like that. But then my friend told me about Top Shot, where you can collect cards digitally.
Yeah.
Right. And so that made me like, okay, maybe try it out. And then I got addicted to it. I started listening to podcasts about it. It was crazy. And this is a pandemic, right? So like I was at home.
You had time.
I had time to research this thing. But the funny thing is, doing the Top Shot stuff is, I just wanted I just enjoyed the product. I just enjoyed just playing with the product. I didn't care. I didn't even know what it was called. I don't even know what Flow blockchain was, right? I didn't know anything. It just was fun, right? And I think this is where I'd love to hear from you, but like, this is where I feel like the crypto products or consumer crypto really gets out there, is when it's about a product and it helps innovates what's out there already. It's not just a copycat of Web 2, which I feel like we see a lot, especially in the gaming side of things, where it's just copycats, right? So.
No, totally. I think Flow did a really great job, particularly in the last cycle, of driving this narrative around consumer crypto and bringing people on chain without making them really understand what blockchain and crypto was. And just by building good consumer products, they were really ahead of their time. Right now we have every new chain popping up talking about consumer crypto.
Prediction markets.
Exactly. Prediction markets. I mean, that's a whole other conversation. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's so many people that are in this space right now that were onboarded by Top Shot. That is not an uncommon thing to hear. I hear it literally all the time. And it's fun to kind of hear, oh, how'd you get in the space? And when someone tells me that it's through like a consumer crypto type app, I love it.
Yeah.
Because I think it's the way.
Right. Yeah. And I think, because it's easy to understand.
Yeah.
Right? It's not, because some people just get intimidated by crypto, unless you're actually in finance or trading and stuff. Like the cause of crypto is just like way
for sure.
way out there.
For sure. Yeah. For sure. I think 99% of people, are really intimidated or daunted by this world, and rightfully so. There's a lot of potential, minefields and things that you can step in that would just blow up. And there's a lot of education to be crypto, savvy.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And, even talking about yourself and your journey, right? Like, how did Beezie come about? Like, what was the origin story of it?
Such a long story. So, the collectible story starts like in my childhood. When I look back now, I have a dad that was always taking me to like yard sales, swap meets, these random warehouses, or like ordering in coins. The hunt for the grail was real. And that is something that I was brought up with. I've said this before. I have these old binders of like basketball cards that say, "Do not trade unless you check with Dad."
Oh, really?
Yeah, and we talk
have a
about
label that says
yes,
that.
it's
hilarious.
right on. It's like written in Sharpie on the binder.
That's
it's
so
hysterical. But so when I look back now, that chase of something was just always there. I grow up, I go to college, I start a career, and I end up in healthcare. And I know, right? My passion was really building teams and culture. That's what I love doing. And I think I've done that pretty well with the Beezie team. I started passively investing in crypto in like 2015, 2016. Okay. So early enough, enough to be dangerous, not enough to make generational wealth, like sold, bought, but believed in the concept. In 2019, 2020, I started looking more deeply into blockchain as a technology. And was fascinated by its future application in consumer products. Immediately, my mind sort of went to healthcare and healthcare data because that's the space that I had been in. But knowing that market as intimately as I did, there's so much red tape. And I was a little disillusioned at that point. So I'm in this space. I fall in love with the tech. I meet this guy called Pratik, who I think I could build something with him. And he's now my co-founder.
Yeah.
We were in a lot of the same overlapping projects back in the day in the NFT cycle. I think at some point we were in Doodles together and Azuki and Apes, and just we're constantly like seeing each other in different communities. And then it ended up getting on phone calls. And we came up with this idea around a smart contract that was a play off of the 721R, that old refund contract. I don't know if you remember it.
No.
That contract was basically you mint something and you would get your mint price back if you weren't happy, right? Like you could redeem your NFT and just, if you felt like it was a rug or for whatever reason, you could get that price back. And we thought, there's something on this that we can do better. So we built a contract that allowed you to get an offer on the asset, a buyback offer based on its secondary market value. So with NFTs, if it was like, a hoodie at that point, that was one of the things. Obviously, when you apply this to collectibles, it becomes really interesting because now we're looking at liquidity instantly, which we all know and love in this space, and we all know and love in collectibles, and an asset's secondary value on eBay or StockX or one of these other big platforms. So we built that contract. It's foundationally still what we use today on the platform. There's been so many iterations and evolutions and pivots as there are with startups since that day. But, I think it was like 2021 that we really started full blast doing this. And here we are.
Yeah, wow. So you guys you just met Predict this in NFT communities.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, it's interesting what you're doing. Let's talk.
And he's like family now. He's like my brother from another mother.
Yeah. And how did it come about? Like you guys even come up with the name Beezie? Why with the bees? Right.
First, if for the OGs, people know this, we were on Blast and we were called the Colony. Obviously, Blast didn't turn out the way everyone wanted to. But when we were looking at trademarks and things like that, like the word colony, you can't really own that as yours, right? It's used across the board. It would have been too difficult to trademark. So we thought, okay, first of all, let's find a 2-syllable word that can be just ours and that we can trademark and use across the board. And we ended up with Beezie.
Just 2-syllable.
Beezie, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
How long did it take for you guys to change the name?
It took a while because we had to put in like the research and do some due diligence on, does this exist anywhere else? Can we trademark this? Is there going to be an issue? And so we played around with some concepts and had, a couple focus groups where we looked at different names, and this was the clear winner.
Yeah. Yeah. I think maybe I remember you guys with Colony because I remember, the wizard, I remember his badge was something with a bee.
Yeah.
I didn't know exactly what was going on, but I know he was a big Azuki guy.
Yeah.
And Profits. Yep. Profits also a big KOL. And I remember she was having the badge. So I think that's
they
when
both are still on the team and have their badges, and like they're the part of the fabric of this organization. One thing you'll see with Beezie is there's not many people that come and go, right? Like we truly have built this platform as a family. And support each other. We all have massive conviction in what we're building. Obviously, a lot of people on the team have their own hustles and are doing their thing, and I fully support that. And I love to see builders build. But this is just such an amazing team that has so much heart, and most people on our team have been here since the earliest days.
Yeah, which is kind of rare in crypto.
Yeah, of course it is.
Because everyone's time spans are just lack of funding or something. Every 3-4 months, I feel like everyone.
This is true. You're not wrong.
Yeah, right. So you mentioned you were doing healthcare after college.
Yeah.
How did you go from healthcare? Well, what were you doing in healthcare actually first?
High tech healthcare.
Okay.
I ran teams. The last company I was at did endovascular aneurysm repair.
Okay.
Built a product for the U.S. market that allowed. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but. Saved lives, and it was really interesting. But it's highly technical, And I love that. I love learning. I feel like I'm a constant student, and I'm always looking at, kind of diving into the next thing that I feel I don't know enough about. And, healthcare was that. And the world I was in was that. It was the products were always evolving. I was working with, Harvard Medical and some of the best surgeons in the world. And their brains are fascinating. The conversations are fascinating. I love being around smart people.
I feel like, especially in Boston. Like there's so many universities.
I mean, the best in the world, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I remember visiting Boston, and it feels like every other block had like a university.
Yeah.
MIT's here,
yes,
Harvard's.
Yes. It's funny. You see the difference in population from August to September. It's insane. You're driving around in August and you can just cruise through the streets really freely. And then September comes and it's gridlock.
Is it? Is it?
So the students arrive.
Yeah, students, university. No, that's funny. So you were doing medical tech stuff, right? So were you trading crypto, or did you start crypto during that time?
No, it's funny. I remember telling my teams in like 2015 all about Bitcoin and saying, you have to buy this.
What price was Bitcoin at that time?
I think at one point I was telling them and it was like 9K, somewhere around there.
Wow.
For some reason that number sticks out in my head. And 9K at that point seemed like a lot, right? When I look back, it was like, oh God, I'm going to spend $9,000 for one coin? What? And I just remember just understanding the idea of a global currency, just getting that and it making so much sense to me. And, obviously ownership and self-custody. And I hope that some of my former team members bought and held along the way.
Well, what did they say when you were saying buy Bitcoin at 9K?
They were intrigued. I mean, these are people that were sort of early adopters, right? Like it was the nature of the people that I was surrounded with for the most part. And I think a lot were intrigued, a lot were skeptical. There was a massive barrier of entry because it was just hard to open a wallet and buy. I don't even know if there were YouTube videos at that point being like, here's how you buy Litecoin or Bitcoin. So, it was hard for people. You really had to put the time and effort in to figure out a setup. And then people were losing private keys left and right because we didn't have people screaming from the rooftops about don't lose these 20 words or whatever it was. But, I hope some people bought and held.
Yeah. Crazy. 9K. Yeah. Like thinking about it, like during that time, like around 2014, that's when I first heard about crypto. And I think it was around that price, like 10K or something. And I remember I had a cluster room in college who was mining Bitcoin in our dorm.
That's insane.
And that was the first time I ever heard of crypto. And then I remember, he was like a, geeky looking guy. So he's kind of a little interesting guy.
Yeah. What's this weirdo up to?
Yeah. I was like, what is that? Why is it moving? He's like, yo, I'm mining Bitcoin. I'm like, what's Bitcoin? And, he goes on with the Satoshi stuff. And, that stuff goes, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But then I was like, okay, interesting. So it's currency. How much of these Bitcoin do you have? And he's like, I have like 10 of them. Mm-hmm. And I was like,
you're like, what?
This guy is crazy. Like he is just
he's going to lose all his money. Yeah, what is he doing? The geeks are always right.
Yeah.
This is like the secret. Surround yourself with the best and brightest and smartest. That's what I tell my kids. Like, just surround yourself with the people that are interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's probably at some island. And
of course he is.
Somewhere. Yeah. Probably owns the island right now and stuff. But no, that's cool. Okay, so then how did you go from... Okay, so when you started Beezie, were you also working in the medical field still?
No. Okay. When we started working seriously on the smart contract, we filed a patent on that. It took months. And we hired, our developers and we said, we're doing this. That's when I was like, I've got to give this my all. So I'm going to jump off the cliff.
Wow. And wait, what year was that?
2020, 2021, somewhere around there.
Okay, during the last cycle and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so Beezie's been around for a while then, right?
The idea of Beezie has been around for a long time, very long time. And I think when you're building something and you're methodical and you're thoughtful, it takes time. And so again, we had starts and stops and pivots. And, at one point we were thinking about just using the contract for NFTs. But the writing was sort of on the wall, at least to me, around that's the last cycle being a really specific moment in time with COVID where people were just searching for ways to connect. And I couldn't see cyclically it happening again in that same way, right? I think the things that I was really bullish on was like when Garyvee launched Flyfish, and it was like the access pass to the restaurant. Or
is that still a thing? Flyfish?
I think it, I mean, at least like a year ago, I have a friend who had the pass and she would go out to dinners, but I think it's been a year since she's last gone. I should ask, but that made sense. Links DAO was kind of coming up at that point, which was the golf club like using these NFTs or JPEGs as we call them as, utility type passes that give you either access to a club or something. That made sense to me. And then when you take that a step further and you give it a link to a physical product, and for us, business 101 is like, if you're starting a company, what problem are you solving? Looking at resale around collectibles and all of the, it's an antiquated space, right? The resale process in and of itself has so many flaws and is so slow moving and so limited by geography and where you live and so many other things. We thought we can really elegantly apply this technology and not feel like it's a force fit. Like we can do something here.
Yeah. I like it how you talked about like Beezie, the platform. It's like the digital and also have the physical thing where people, I guess, can redeem and all that, right?
Yeah. If you own the digital at any point in time, the digital can sell 100 times on the marketplace. And if you are the 101st owner and you say, actually, I want this slab or I want these sneakers or whatever the asset is, you can redeem it anywhere in the world.
Anywhere in the world?
Anywhere in the world. We ship globally. We've had overnight shipments to Tokyo, to Vienna, to Finland. Like that is what I think one of the things really sets us apart is we're best in class redemption, logistics. And that's, the partnership with Brinks and us just having a stellar operations team.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel like what you guys are doing, like I asked earlier, right? How do you explain it to your Web2 friends, right?
Yeah.
And they understand it,
Yeah.
right? It's the physical, digital, and stuff like that. But why do you guys need to use blockchain? Couldn't you guys go Web2 side of things? Or
you could, but I mean, the transparency, the efficiency with building on chain is so much better, right? Like, sure, you could do this, and we see obviously these massive marketplaces are all not on chain, but there are so many unique benefits to being on chain that, going back to our early conversation, when I'm telling someone about the benefits of Beezie, so many of those pieces are because we're on chain. And that's what I circle back to at the end of the conversation. Well, you have this 1%, resale fee that you're able to get from every transaction if you are the person that puts that asset on chain because we're on chain. You have these receipts of ownership that can never be tampered with, can never, a good developer can never go on chain and just change those because we're on chain. Like this is all of those things that I just told you about our platform that you thought were great are all because we're on chain. And that's how you sell it, right? That's what you circle back to. And then they already get it because they already fell in love with the things I just told them about the platform.
When it comes to Web2 side of things, it's only eBay, right? That is the major marketplace. I'm sure there's more, right?
I mean, it just depends on the category. There's so many. Depends on the category. Depends on your geography. I mean, we can have a whole other podcast about secondary marketplaces.
Yeah, in the Web2 sense. Yeah. And I guess the issue is sometimes people can fake things, right? Or like it just doesn't get.
Yeah, I mean, authentication is an issue. Again, it's the least sexy of the conversations, but being a reseller and having to ship outside of your native country is challenging. It's hard. Currency conversions are difficult. I always look at, I have kids, and I think when my kids are earners, God willing, in 5, 10, 15 years, there's no way that they're going to be linking their debit card up to eBay and holding their breath and hoping what they ordered is what they get, and then storing all of their stuff in their guest bedroom. This is just not the way they're going to transact. These kids grew up with Fortnite and Roblox and understand the digital flex. They understand the idea of being able to open up an app and, show friends that they're with in real life, oh, here's my collection, or here's what I have under my profile. They get that. They don't need to have the physical items if they're not wearing it. And, obviously resale is a lot easier. Like we have collectors that have utilized our platform and our vault, and they'll say, I'm putting all of our stuff, in the vault, and I'm going to be traveling for the next 9 months. And when I need liquidity, it's a lot easier for me to just click sell and put a price than if I didn't have access to your platform.
Yeah. I feel like, especially like you mentioned, like your kids, that age group, the Gen Z, Gen Alpha.
Yep.
Like you said, right? Because they play Roblox, they play Fortnite, they buy skins, right?
Exactly.
Makes sense. They understand it. Versus like, I feel like millennials maybe kind of in the middle of the change of the digital world. It might be like, I still want the physical. Or like our parents' age, they're just like, they have no idea what's going on.
And I think, still wanting the physical is great. Like we want to be the marketplace that you come and shop at and then redeem. We have people that will come and shop and now they're redeeming because they want to give these gifts for Christmas. But they want to pay with their crypto. They want to buy from us because they know they want to earn points on Beezie. For whatever reason, they're choosing to buy with us versus eBay. And I am so grateful for that. We don't want to just be a platform that you come and you store and you let it sit there, right? We want you to redeem if you do want that physical. I think that's an important component of who we are.
Yeah, the digital and the physical, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I was just curious to hear your perspective as well, because I feel like TCG, like we mentioned earlier, in crypto, it pretty closely aligns, right? And there are projects as well doing similar things. Like we hear Courtyard.
Yep.
We hear one of my friends is building one on BNB, one of the first ones.
Yeah.
So what separates you guys, Beezie, from the rest?
Oh my God, this is a loaded question. And I honestly, I'm not saying this like, oh yeah.
Right.
I'm saying this, I appreciate the other builders that are in this space. We're really tight with the Collector Crypt team. They're an amazing group that are doing it the right way, because I feel like a rising tide lifts all ships, right? And when you can collaborate, you can work together with, the other platforms doing something similar, and you can push the space forward. That's a big deal. That's net positive. Now, in the same breath, I think, there's probably players that aren't doing things the right way. And as a builder that has taken the time to put the pieces together, that's scary because it puts us all at risk, right? It takes one bad story, one kink in the system and in the armor to make everyone look bad. So I think a lot of us are pretty critical on, are people doing this the right way? Are there things happening that are going to put all of the rest of us in jeopardy? But what separates us? I think, day one, we've come out as multi-category. Yes, Web3 loves TCG, and we've really leaned into that because as a business, like that's what's driving revenue. But, I think the overall application of Beezie is we are a marketplace and we are a logistics player. We're a vault provider, and we are able to take in multiple categories, and we will continue to expand those categories. That was very important with our narrative from day one. We have sneakers, we want to have luxury items, we want to expand into precious metals, we want to keep going with it. You expand categories, right? I should say, at least we expand categories as we bring in new brand partners. We've got to do what we're doing right now really, really well and stay super focused and make sure, we are one of the most formidable players out there. And then as we build that foundation and our brand, we continue to expand. So, A, multi-category, B, best-in-class redemption, C, growing our brand, D, bringing in new partners and increasing our distribution, and, just being the best team.
Yeah. The multi-category thing is something I've observed that you guys do, that I'm like, oh, you guys do obviously the TCG stuff.
Yeah.
But then you do sneakers, right? And obviously in the future, you guys venture out to like precious metals,
Yep.
because there is a market for that too.
Of course, yeah.
And stuff. Yeah, it is really interesting.
There's a ton of opportunity.
Yeah. When it comes to collectibles, it's something interesting. I had Spencer on the pod, Spencer from Moonbirds.
Yeah, I know Spencer well.
Yeah, and he mentioned something how he believes collectibles is like one of the best ways paths to revenue for crypto projects, right? And like just early on while we're talking, it makes sense because in the Web2 side of things, at least I'm not in really into the marketplace stuff as well, but like from a digital side of things, it feels like I only hear about eBay. That's about it. I mean, there's a physical, right, places where you can trade and stuff like that, but there's not really like a digital side of things or a platform you think about other than eBay, right? Kind of doing trading marketplaces and stuff like that. Yeah. But also like what's next for you guys? You mentioned the precious metals, the stuff like that, and
depending on when this podcast comes out, we are going to be going multi-chain. We're going to be integrating with Base, so we're super excited about that. Base is a leader. Like they are pushing boundaries like no other chain, and so we're really excited to go live. That'll be at some point in January. We'll announce in December. We have a lot going on. Not a lot that I can talk about, but we're just gonna, we're gonna continue to bring out and push new activations. We've got a couple really interesting smart contracts being developed that lean more into the gamification and make things even more interesting. Because I think right now, a lot of, like you said, the other platforms, we're all sort of doing the same thing around buybacks.
Yeah.
But the contracts that we're going to be introducing are different and interesting and revolutionary, in my opinion. We will continue to build on-chain assets, right? It's all about what you can do next once the asset's tokenized. So whether we're talking about lending, fractionalization, any of these components, you'll see Beezie's mark in the future.
Okay.
And continue to bring on really new and exciting brand partners that see the benefit of bringing some of their assets on chain.
Any brand partners you can?
No, not yet. Obviously, we've had a massively successful partnership with OpenSea. We're super proud of that. OpenSea is one of those like flagship brands in the Web3 space, and they continue to evolve and lead the way. And we will continue to work and partner with them. I love the team over there. They're just doing it right. So,
did you see their art Basel stuff?
Yeah.
I think they did with Beeple, right, or something.
Yes.
With I thought it was AI, and then
it's incredible. I know, it's incredible. They're just, I'm so proud of that team and everything they've done. Adam and now Steve just joined the team, NFT Bark for the OGs. They've been such a dream to work with. It's been really, really easy. They're top notch, super professional. So love them.
Yeah, amazing. And also something that I thought of, maybe because I'm not as into this industry, but like I feel like collectible market there's like highs and lows, like what's popular. Like right now, right, sneakers are not as a big thing, right? Which is good for me as a sneakerhead. Like I can actually
You've got to come and see some of the shoes we have on the platform. It's insane. Sure. Yes, it's crazy.
Right. And so how do you guys like even adjust like to the different trends or metas, right? Because I feel like right now Pokemon cards are huge, but maybe in the next few years they're not as big, right?
Yeah.
How does that work for you?
I mean, we already have the infrastructure built to support, right? So if in 2 months Pokemon meta's faded and sneakers start to get crazy, we load our claws up in our marketplace with more sneakers, or we bring in more brand partners that, like yourself, are sneakerheads. It's, we have the authentication in the vault. We work with a company called Entropy, which is AI authentication for sneakers. They're absolutely amazing. But, it's easy because we set up the foundation to support multiple categories. So we are not having to reinvent the wheel when the Pokemon or TCG market softens and we need to lean into a different kind of category. It's already there and built.
Yeah. That's true, right? Like you said, multi-category and stuff like that. And how about the Web 2 side of things? Like, are you guys really doing hard push right now for Web 2 side of things?
We're starting to. Okay. Once we integrate on Base, that's going to get even bigger. Obviously, there's so many amazing things about being a builder on Base, and truly, the fact that it is so easy to onboard someone new to your platform is one of those things. And so that's when you're going to see a much bigger push around ad spend and partnerships for Beezie.
Yeah. When you said ad spend, you brought me back to my Web2 days.
Yeah.
I used to do Web2 marketing.
Ah, okay.
So we always talk about ad spend versus here, it's like, we don't want to do ads in Web3, stuff like that. But it's interesting. And I guess, I mean, have you, other than your friends and stuff like that, I don't know if you guys done any like focus groups with like Web2 people inside of things about your platform. Like, I was just curious, like what feedback do you guys get from those?
I mean, right now we really are constantly focused on getting feedback from our current users, so that when we do go multi-chain and we do give a Web2 push, like, we are putting the best product forward. That is something that Pratik and his team do really, really well. New feedback forums, getting on calls with some of our busier users, or whales as we call them, and just making sure that even if we're just shipping small updates, we are shipping based on the feedback that we're getting from the community. We just hired a new dev who now we're at 3 or 4 full time, and he came straight from the community. He was a user of Beezie. He knows the platform, the ins and outs of it. And the first 2-3 weeks, I know Pratik just looked at him and said, "Fix what you don't like." Like, as a user on this platform, go in and start tinkering and fix what rubs you the wrong way. And I love that.
Yeah. I mean, it's always great to have, like, when I talk about projects, when they hire people within the community. And I think something that's unique about Web3 in general, because I feel like we don't see that in Web2 when it comes to brand building and community. Like, it's crazy. Like, I have a Pudgy Penguin here, my PFP.
Yeah.
I'm displaying it here, right? Like, I wouldn't display Nike here unless they pay me, right?
Right. But Luke is happy, right?
Yeah,
You got the Pudgy here. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, that is cool to see that. And that's the thing I feel like what's unique about building in Web3. Like, and that's why I earlier on asked that question, why even go Web3? Obviously the tech side of things. But I also I think it's just the community, it's the culture here. Like, just putting an example of like even Pudgy, like when they made the announcement with Walmart, like Walmart got the most engagement on Twitter they've ever gotten. Right?
Yeah, it's incredible.
And it's not just Pudgy. Like when Azuki did something, when Doodles did something with McDonald's, and you don't see that. And it's cool that you guys are having people that are community members and now become employees for what you guys do.
Yeah. So. I mean, it's, in my opinion, one of the only ways, right? To promote from within, to hire from the community, to make sure that that's the first talent pool you're looking at.
Yeah. And what do you see kind of looking ahead, right? Like, we filmed this almost the end of the year, right? Looking to 2026. Where do you see like the TCG space kind of heading, like in this?
I mean, it's such an interesting question, and
collectibles,
yeah, TCG is wild right now. I mean, it's just the prices that we're seeing, what some of these massive companies are buying at each weekend at shows. It's insanity. But I'm also still really bullish. Yes, will the market soften here or there? 100%. But do I feel like the idea of the gamification and how loved Pokemon IP is, none of that's going anywhere. Like, gamification in commerce and in resale we're just scratching the surface. Like, everything you buy, it feels like today, is a blind box, or there's some element of surprise or making it a game that it's become so commonplace, it's almost expected. And I think we're going to see a lot of bigger brands leaning into that. That's certainly the conversations we're having. Let's see what happens with TCG in the next 2, 3, 6 months, but I don't see any massive shifts happening. I see more growth happening based on what builders like us and others are doing.
Yeah. When you said in different conversations with people and stuff, I was curious, like, how about the Web 2 side of things when it comes to brands
Yeah.
and stuff like that in the collectibles market and space? Like I was just in Asia, right? And every mall at least had a Pop Mart and 2 other collectible markets. And apparently in Asia, Labubu is not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
It's something else.
There's the next Labubu.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the next whatever. Yeah, I was just curious from, since from the behind the scenes, like, are Web 2 brands looking at like putting stuff on the chain or
100%. Yeah. I mean, there's brand new revenue streams for them to tap into. There is a new way to reward consumer loyalty. There is, a much more efficient way to track data, to kind of own your consumer's footprint and the journey of an asset. There's this whole conversation around alternative asset classes. So yes, Web 2 brands are actively looking and having conversations around all of those things.
Yeah. Do you feel like in this time around, the Web 2 brands are more like smart in what to ask or how to do things? Because I feel like last time, every major brand, like, oh, we're launching an NFT collection. Oh, we're doing this and that. And it did.
Yeah. I mean, last time we both know it felt really extractive, right? And I think that there's merit to certain things that were built, but I also think going back to that barrier of entry, it was too hard for the average consumer to begin their journey on chain. Web 2 brands now, I don't want to say that I think now the difference is they know that they don't know what they don't know, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They are coming in with their eyes wide open and cautiously optimistic, but also understanding that there's a lot to this space that you only get to know by being native to this space. And you can't just hire someone from LinkedIn that has crypto blockchain expert on their profile and expect a win. Like you have to partner or build with teams like us and others that get it, that know who to work with, who not to work with, what tech to partner with. Like there are so many different components and nuance to that conversation. And I think the difference is that Web 2 brands understand that now. Where last cycle, it was sort of like, yeah, let's do an NFT. Sure, we'll work with you. You're an expert. So that, in my opinion, that's the big difference.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like, and maybe it's from learning too, right? Like seeing the past, what didn't work, right? Refining that, right? And because even so now, when a Web 2 brand comes to do Web 3 things, I'm like, oh no, here we go.
Yeah.
Is this going to be a rug? Is this going to be, do they know what they're doing?
We're just not seeing it as much, which is great. Like we're not supposed to see them dropping, PFP collections or whatever. But
I don't even remember Pepsi had like a mic NFT collection.
Yeah, I remember all of it, unfortunately.
I was like, Pepsi with the mic is like, it's crazy. But and I feel like also like, even the Web 3 side of things, right? Like people, I think, again, everything was new, like hired Web 2 people, right? People who have oppressive backgrounds in the Web 2 sense, trying to reach the mass adoption real quick.
Yeah.
But then kind of alienated the core, the Web 3 stuff.
Yeah.
And then we saw that didn't work out. Again, it was new, people were finding, and then now these Web 3 brands are going back to being more Web 3 and stuff like that, right?
For sure.
And it's just interesting to see.
It's so interesting. And it's so nice, and refreshing to see the evolution in certain ways. Other ways not, but it's we're growing up. We're growing up slowly but surely.
Yes, I like you saying growing up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and even the previous people building, right? Now, after the 4 years, right? They're a little older. They're not just fresh out of college or in high school or not and stuff. And so, it's gonna be interesting. Well, I do this with all my guests before I close, right?
Okay.
Nothing crazy, but like, what is next for you personally? What's next for Beezie? Any alpha you want to share?
Next for me is hopefully more trips to Dubai. No, but really tapping into the MENA region is a huge piece of our roadmap. Going much deeper here. There's so much opportunity in this area. I'm really proud that my co-founders relocated here and Dubai is alpha, as Raheem says. If everyone knows Raheem, Dubai is alpha.
Yeah, I just had him here 2 days ago.
he's the greatest, and he's spot on when he says that. So that's exciting. You know, I mentioned going multi-chain with Base. We have our token coming. Can't say much more about that, but Beezie token 2026 for sure. Really creating a token where it's not just narrative driven, but there's real utility. So that is something that myself and the team are working on day in and day out to make sure we show up in the right way. It's a huge opportunity. And, you know, just continuing to build the best platform in this space and onboard new blood on chain the right way.
Yeah. I'm sure you can't share the ticker, right?
No, I can't. I'm not that. I probably said too much already, but no. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, seems like, yeah, a lot of things are cooking in 2026 for you guys. And yeah, wish you guys all the luck.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
this was a great conversation.
Yeah, thanks for being here.